everyone. I'm Miss Heather from the Tewksbury Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you back to another Little Einsteins Science. Today, we are going to be talking about the science of sound. Our everyday world is full of sounds. Have you ever stopped to think about what sound actually is? Sound is the energy that things make when they move or vibrate. These movements or vibrations force the air around them to vibrate too, making waves, until eventually even the air inside your ears begins to vibrate. Your brain figures out what's going on and interprets that sound energy, figures out what the sound is, and then figures out whether it's words or music or just some other noise. So the volume, how loud or soft the sound is, and the pitch, or how high or how low the sound is, depends on the source and how much energy it produced. And sound waves travel really quickly. When someone speaks to us, our ears feel the vibrations, those sound wave movements, and our brains interpret them almost instantly, even before we know what they're doing. But sound can only travel to our ears if it has something to travel through, such as air, water, or other materials. So in space, there's no air, so sound can't travel. You can't hear anything. So today we'll be doing some different activities to learn about the science of sound. We will see how sound waves travel, we'll change the pitch, and we'll make some instruments and even some more activities as well. So for the first thing today, we will be looking at sound waves. So for that, you will need a large bowl. A mixing bowl works really well. You'll also need some plastic wrap and a rubber band to keep your plastic wrap in place. And you will also need some sugar. So I have just a little packet of sugar right here. That should be enough for me. If you have a larger container of sugar, that's great too. You'll just maybe need 1 scoop of the sugar. So get those materials ready and let's get started with our first activity. All right, so now you'll need your large bowl. The bigger the better. The one that I have here is actually a little bit too small for this. And it's also made out of plastic, which doesn't work as well as it would if my bowl was made of metal or glass. So if you have like a nice big large metal or glass mixing bowl, that's definitely the best kind to use, but I'll still try with this one here and we'll see what happens. Because we are doing a science experiment, we don't always know what will happen. So what you'll need to do is put your plastic wrap right on top of the bowl, and I think I will need my rubber band to hold mine in place. You might feel like that as well, and that's totally fine. You need your plastic wrap to be really tight around your bowl for this to work. And again, you might notice varying degrees of success. Some people might be really successful with this and some people might not be as successful, and that's okay. You can record what happens in your experiment and remember it, and you can share your results with someone else. So I just put my rubber band around the bowl and I just kind of pulled down a little bit on the plastic wrap to make sure it's really nice and tight across the top. And I poured out my sugar in here. So I'm just gonna take a little pinch of that, just right between my fingers, sprinkle it right on top of my bowl. And you really don't need too much sugar either, because less is going to be more. As you can see here, I don't have that much sugar on there, and that's all I need. So now that you have your sugar on top, you have your plastic wrap nice and tight over your bowl, maybe held in place with a rubber band, maybe not. Now we can watch the sound waves in action. So what you want to do is actually just talk really loudly, or you can make some noise like clapping right next to your bowl, and you can watch as the sugar crystals move around, and that's because they are feeling the vibrations of whatever sound you're making. So you can see that sound waves move, and you can see that through the sugar on top of this bowl here. Right, so for our next experiment, we are going to be talking about changing the pitch. So for this, you will need 3 jars. If you have more, that's okay. 3 jars or 3 glasses that are all exactly the same. That's really important for this. You'll also need a wooden spoon. You could also use a metal spoon if you prefer, but the wood just makes a little bit of a better sound. And you will need some water. So you can gather your glasses or your jars and some water, and you can meet me right back here. You've got your 3 identical glass jars or drinking glasses. You can put those right in front of you. I've got a pitcher of water here at my side, which I will be using in a minute. And I've also got a knife with a wooden handle because I don't have my wooden spoons here with me at work. So what you should do is tap each of your jars with your wooden spoon and just observe the sound. See what you hear, see what it sounds like to you. They all sounded kind of the same to me. And so now what you do is you will fill up your jars with water. You fill up the first one almost all the way, the second one with less water than that first one, and the next one with even less water than that. And if you have more than 3 jars, that's totally fine. You could have honestly as many as you'd like, and just fill up each one with slightly less water than the one before. So here we go. I am filling up my first jar just about all the way with the water. And now I'll fill up my next jar. And last but not least, my last jar. So you can see my water here is almost all the way at the top. Right here, it's just maybe about halfway. And here, maybe it's about 1/3 of the way filled up. There's no right answer to how much water you put in each of your jars, so don't worry about that. And next up, again, with your wooden spoon, if you have one, or something else, you can tap on your jars and you should hear a different sound this time. Huh, that's pretty interesting. So, the empty jars made the same tone as each other, so the water levels changes the tones or the pitch. You should notice that when you tap your jars when they're empty, they all sound the same. But when you add the water, suddenly they sound different. And that's actually because having water inside the jars, having something for the sound to pass through, changes the sound and it changes what you hear. First jar right here that has the most water made the lowest tone or the lowest pitch. And then this one here with the least water made the highest pitch. You can hear the difference in those 2 pitches when I tap on them, and you can hear how the water changes the sounds. So when there's more water for the sound to pass through, because this jar is almost filled up to the top, when there's more water in there, the sound has to travel a little bit longer, has to go through all of that water, so it makes the pitch of the sound lower. And then when the sound goes through not a lot of water, for example, it only goes through this little bit of water right here, so it's going to have a higher pitch. So some ways to extend this activity, you could try using different materials for your jars. You could try metal or plastic or cardboard and see what happens there. You could try different liquids inside your jars. If you have some oil or some seltzer or any other kinds of liquids in here, you can see if they still make a similar sound when you tap on them. And you can also add a little bit of food coloring in each of your jars, doing a different color in each one. And that will actually help you remember which jars make which sounds if you wanted to compose your own music. So that's a fun idea as well. And then you could record it on your sheet with some crayons, and you could say, okay, I want to hit the red one first, so you color in with your red, and then maybe you want your blue one next, so you color in a blue, and it just helps you to remember the song that you wrote. And it's a fun idea of something else you can do with your jars. All right, so next up, we're going to be making some different kinds of instruments. And instruments are a really great way for kids to discover sound. and to learn through play. And so we'll make 3 different types of instruments today, and I think you'll find that they're really easy and hopefully also fun. So the first one we'll make is a library classic. It is the egg shaker. So all you need for this is a plastic egg. You will need something to go inside. Right here is some dried popcorn kernels and also some yellow lentils, so I can put that inside my egg. You will need some glue to go around the outside, and it's also suggested to add some tape to the outside too. So right here on this one is electrical tape. So if you have that kind of tape, that's great. If you have another kind of tape, that works as well. Any kind of tape should be good. Scotch tape might not be the best because it's not as strong, but otherwise, any other tape should be good to use. All right, so to make my egg shaker, I'm just gonna go ahead and dip one side of my egg in to my popcorn and lentil mixture, and then I can put the other half on. That sounds pretty good to me. So I'm gonna open that back up, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right along that rim that's sticking up right there. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue all along right in here with my tacky glue. And that will help to make sure that my egg stays closed, because these little pieces in here are a choking hazard. So you wanna keep this away from little babies. Anyone under the age of 3 really, who might not know that this is not safe to put in their mouth. So I'm just getting my glue all along this rim here. Does not have to be perfect. Mine's a little hard to squeeze. All right, so I've got my glue. Put it right in there. And you just want to make sure, there we go, you hear it click into place and then you know it's really closed. So you can put this aside, wait for the glue to dry before taping it. So you can put this aside and we'll pick it back up later and just put our finishing touches on it. The next easy instrument we're going to make is the kazoo. You need a paper towel or toilet paper tube. You need a piece of wax paper, an elastic band, and something kind of pointy. It could just even be the end of a pen. So gather those materials and let's get ready to make our kazoo. So the first thing we'll do is we'll cut off a little piece of wax paper. And we'll put that right over the end of the tube, just one of the ends. And I'm gonna gather that around my tube. And I'm gonna secure that in place with my rubber band. And then the next thing to do is trim off any extra wax paper that you might have. So you could get some scissors and just a nice little trim will make it work really nicely for you. All right, trim, trim, trim. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a little bit of a trim is good, making sure that it's still fitted across the end of your tube and held in place with your elastic bands. And so now what you want to do is take your pointy thing. So I have a knife, but it could be as simple as the end of a pen. And you just want to poke a hole in your tube towards the end of the tube. So I've got my hole here. Again, it's not perfect, and that's okay. And now we have a kazoo. So to use your kazoo, you can say the word do over and over, do, 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 or you could also hum to get it to make some noise and music for you. Do, 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 do. Our last instrument is a harmonica. So for this, you need 2 jumbo popsicle sticks, the ones that are a little bit wider than usual. I've decorated mine already, as you can see. You can decorate yours or you don't have to, whatever you decide. You'll also need 3 more elastic bands and a drinking straw. preferably one that's plastic, as we will be cutting these. All right, and once you get those materials, get ready to learn how to make your very own harmonica. Let's take a look and see. So first up, you'll take your thicker elastic band, if you have one that's a little bit thicker, and you'll just put that straight around one of your popsicle sticks, or craft sticks as they're sometimes called. And so you can see that is around lengthwise right there. And then you will take your straw and you'll cut about an inch from both ends. You'll need two 1-inch pieces. And you don't have to measure. And I think mine are actually potentially going to be too long, but better to be too long than too short. All right, so what you want to do is put one of the straw pieces underneath the rubber band here. So I'm just putting it underneath, and then I'm going to slide it all the way towards one of the ends. So I've got my straw piece all the way towards this end here. And now I'm going to take the other craft stick and put that right on top. And I'm going to use my elastic band to go right around this end here to hold it in place. So I got my elastic band, putting it over the end, and then I'm just crossing it and making that loop, bring that loop over and pulling, crossing, the loop goes over, and we have one side of the harmonica ready. So now with the other straw piece, you want to put this one on top of the rubber band, and you'll put this on the other end. So you see one end and the other end. Now this one is on top of the rubber band. Before it was underneath, now it's on top. And get that secured as well. So wrap that elastic around just like the other side. And again, just crossing, making the loop and putting around, and then pulling out, getting that cross, and the loop goes over. All right, so now you have a harmonica, and usually to play our harmonica, you would hum, but this time you're gonna actually just blow right through. So you can put your mouth up to it, and let's see, here we go. You can put your mouth up to it and hey, there it is. And you can play with the straw pieces as well. You can move them back and forth along your harmonica, and you can adjust the pitch as well. So you can try out the different pitches needing and how they sound when they're apart and how they sound when they're together. So this is a really great way also to think about sound, because the vibration of the elastic band is what makes the harmonica sound. But then when you play with the straw pieces there, it actually changes the pitch. So you have a whole musical instrument right here. And it's great for kids to explore and to learn. A lot of learning is done through play. So this is really great to have. All right, so we have two more activities. Our next one is a sort of a take on the old school tin can telephone. So for this you need a spoon. I happen to have a large serving spoon here. And you also need a just about arm's length piece of yarn. So get those two things, and once you are ready, we are going to tie the yarn to the spoon. So you just want to tie it somewhere so that the spoon is in the middle and you have about the same amount of yarn hanging down on either side of the spoon. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for a demonstration here. Once you have your yarn tied around your spoon with about the same amount of yarn on either side left and the spoon kind of in the middle, what you want to do is take one of the sides, very gently and loosely wrap it around your finger a few times. And then you'll do the same with the other side, very gently and loosely, wrapping that around your finger. And you want these yarn pieces, kind of like this here, to be towards the end of your fingers. And then what you'll actually do is you'll take these kind of balls of yarn that you just made and you'll put them inside your ears almost like they're headphones. And then you'll take your spoon that will be hanging and you'll gently knock it into something, or you can have someone gently knock something into it for you. And you'll hear the sound of the spoon and the impact of the noise really, really clearly, because the sound will travel straight up the yarn and go straight into your ears, rather than the sound having to travel through the air and then get more spread out. The sound just shoots straight up to your ears because we've made sort of like headphones for the spoon, and then you can hear the sound really, really clearly once you have that kind of set up for yourself. Last activity we're going to do today is hearing sounds underwater. So what I just did is I filled up a bucket of water. I've got that right here in front of me. And I also have a little water bottle. And so what you'll do is you'll cut off the end of it right here, straight across the end. And get that all sliced off. All right, so now you have a water bottle with no bottom. You can take off the cap. And what you'll do is you will put the cap side to your ear. So it'll be kind of like this. You got the cap to your ear. And you'll put that inside the water. So put it in the water, put your ear to it and listen. And either you or someone else can tap some spoons or something else metal together under the water. And you should be able to hear that sound really well, because the sound will be able to go straight up the bottle and straight into your ear. So let's give it a try. So I definitely recommend experimenting with the hearing underwater trick. Maybe you want to try a bigger bucket of water. Maybe you even want to try it in your bathtub. Maybe you want to try it with a bottle that's bigger. Maybe you have a 2-liter bottle or even just a 1-liter bottle, something that's a little bigger than your standard 16.9 water bottle size. And to finish off your egg shaker, all you need to do is take your egg shaker, take some tape. This is electrical tape that I have, and you will find where it starts. Get that tape going. All right, here we go. So you'll just be able to put that end right on where your seam is, where those two halves come together. You'll just put it right on there, and you can wrap it around a few times. Here we go. And wrap it around, and this will just really help to make sure that your egg shaker doesn't accidentally open up on you, and that no one is getting inside and potentially putting these small inner pieces in their mouths, because that could be really dangerous. All right, so I've got mine wrapped around. I wrapped mine around twice, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim the bottom. And then make sure I really press it all into place. And that should be a genuine Tewksbury Public Library egg shaker. So today during Little Einsteins Science, we talked all about sound. We talked about how sound is energy and it causes vibrations and moves in waves. And we also talked about the pitch of sound as well. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks again. Bye.